welcome to some Dryland swimming skills. Today we're going to look specifically at the leg kick, which, doing so in the Dryland, obviously, environment is a little bit tougher to try and get the hang off as going forwards. Because when you're in the water, you can do a few different things to help you feel the kick a little bit more easily, whereas at Dryland, it's actually quite hard. But the good news is, by working on it at the Dryland, we can get rid of quite a few things which actually lead to a negative kick. So quite often people look at the swimming kick and they think a few different things. Firstly, if you're doing triathlon, why bother kicking? You've got the whole opportunity to go and do using your legs on the bike and then on a run, so why bother having an effective kick at this moment in time? The other thing people sometimes fixate on is the idea of the scissor kick, so when your legs kind of separate apart or go over the top again. This scissor kick, again, is something people fixate and try and focus on. And then finally people think about the beat of the kick and everything else. And to be honest with you, with all those different points, it's underlined completely if you say, have an effective kick. So yes, I know if you're a triathlete, you don't need to do loads of kicking in order to get around the event, but you do need your kick to balance your stroke. Yes, I know that you want to try and eliminate a scissor kick from your swimming in order to improve your technique, but that's almost certainly as a result of something else going on the front of the stroke rather than the cause of it in the first place. And then finally, worrying about the beat of your kick and anything like that. For most people at this stage, the early stage of swimming, even up towards when you're actually quite fast, it's going to be a distraction from the real nuggets of improvement that you can make by working in other areas of your swimming stroke. So the front end position, your propulsive thing, your body position, your body alignment, and other things that we're going to cover through these video series. So what do we mean by an effective kick and why is that helpful? Well, an effective kick means that you're going to be efficient with your kick and also, obviously effective, you're going to get some form of propulsion. We're not using kicking as a way of getting ourselves from A to B, really. We're using it really as a method to allow for balance. And from balance, we can encourage ourselves to have a better body position, we can rotate better around our axes, we can start being more propulsive therefore because there's more tautness in our stroke using our arms. So we're essentially making the whole of the stroke more effective and more efficient by having an effective kick. So with this, the best way of getting good at kicking will be in the water. We're using Dryland drills to try and make sure you're aware of what a good kick does actually feel like so you can take that into the water when you go. When you get into water, doing some good work with fins, preferably longer fins to help you get a feel for good kick mechanics, and also looking at doing some kind of actually speed-based stuff when kicking actually gets you moving faster than most. These are things which generally triathletes don't end up doing because they want to just go and smash themselves going up and down the water. But if you want to make an effective kick and therefore improve your stroke efficiency, you're going to end up finding yourself spending a little bit of time kicking, and that can be a route to try and get a lot more efficient through swimming generally in the open water as well. So before we go into any more detail, I suppose, around the kick and the kick mechanics, what we're going to try and look at now is how can we get the kick more efficient from where we are. And sadly for triathletes, one of the most important things to try and do is to try and improve your ankle flexibility, your ankle movement and everything else. And that's essentially where the kick comes. So when you look at the kick mechanics, the kick mechanic comes from as you push down at that and you get that kind of whip effect coming through, and when you bring your foot up that way you get a whip. It's a bit, if you imagine shaking out a towel like that, it's that whip at the end which actually gets the propulsive effect. And that happens when you have ankle flexibility. Triathletes, if you spend a bit of time on the land, you need the stability there in order to allow yourself being efficient when running, so you're not going to have particularly good, or traditionally you won't have particularly good, stable and flexible ankles. So we need to work on the ankle flexibility. So we've covered a few of these things before. We looked at doing some of the ankle stretches, so I'm using a pillow here. Look at kind of leaning back in that position and then bending our knees and just sitting in this position quite often, and we've been using that as part of our cool downs for the Dryland stuff as well, to try and help improve our ankle flexibility. If you look at good swimmers, their ankles basically go flat. If you look at poor swimmers or people who have a poor kick, they end up having quite blocked ankles in that position here. So you can chill out in this sort of position trying to watch TV, or eating your dinner or anything like that, and you'll find yourself that you will actually improve your ankle flexibility. We also looked at some band-based work as well. We're going to use a cushion, because I'm feeling delicate today, either by using the band around one ankle and actually just extending it like that, with the using something to hold onto it, just to help extend the ankle, or twist it around as well, so you're going to have a bit more of a connection. And just sort of just sitting there, just letting the band pull the ankle that way gently. Either one's effective. Personally, find the sitting on your knees or sitting on your ankles a little bit easier. When you're in that knee sat position, like this, you can also kind of start lifting your knees up, and that will start improving that range of motion. But just look at doing that if you're feeling that you need a little bit more flexibility out of those ankles as you go along. So, when we're thinking about this effective kick, why is that ankle flexibility so important? Well, if you haven't got the ankle flexibility, you end up kicking in that sort of position here, like that. Obviously, I'm vertical, going to go horizontally. So in that sort of position here. And you're going to end up kicking there. If you end up kicking like this, you end up having to start using your knee for more propulsion. So your kick position ends up something like this. Now, this thigh starts adding resistance, which slows you down. When you bring your foot down to that position, the ankle and the foot does exactly the same thing, and behind you, the calf does the same thing again. So you can find people who have very limited ankle flexibility kicking with a kickboard and going backwards. And that's purely because of flexibility. And you really, really want to try and improve that flexibility, improve the kick mechanics in order to help someone actually get an effectiveness out of the kick. Because every time they kick, they're slowing themselves down. If they're slowing themselves down, they've got to do something at the front to try and move themselves forward a bit more as well. So, if we think about that good kick position, we stand in this chair, there's a traditional movement which we look at when swimming, and it's called the ballet kick. So ideally you do this on the side of the pool, or a ledge or something, and you just let this outside leg hang. So you can see here I'm pointing my toes slightly, and I'm just going to hang. I actually have a reasonably loose leg, so I'm not kind of rigid or anything like that, I'm just letting it be quite relaxed. And you can see that my foot and my leg can act as a bit of a pendulum. And as it acts as that pendulum, you see when I get to that position there is a slight knee bend, that's normal. And when I come through there, there's also, it goes a bit straighter, but it's not locking itself out, it's nice and straight. On the way back, it's a similar sort of thing, except my knee isn't bent that way. So I'm pulling it through there, and then back again. So we're focusing on this position as you go through, and you're just feeling just the movement. If you put your hand onto your glute, you can start feeling that the movement is all coming from the glute, and it's not coming from the knee, it's not coming from the quad or anything like that, it's just coming from the glute there, swinging forwards, glute there, and forwards. And what we find with a lot of people actually thinking about kicking forwards to get the kick is a bad way of looking at it. If you think about kicking forwards for the kick, you'll end up finding that you end up sort of focusing on that movement, and you end up bending that knee negatively. So think instead about pulling it back, so pull back there, and that's where you want to have the power. Again, we're thinking about focusing on and using your glutes as much as you can possibly use. So that was your ballet kick. So let's just think about that kick feeling. We noticed when we were up on that ledge, the reason was because our foot was hanging. And actually we want the kind of the leg to be long in the water. If we think about it getting shorter, we can get that knee position going in the wrong place. We don't want that. So let's just think about that banded kick. So I'm going to put this on my heel, just for the feel of it. I'm going to pull myself forward. I'm just going to start moving that kick there. You can feel immediately that my leg is wanting to go towards the desk over there. So I'm actually getting a good kick movement just by having the band on and getting the feeling better. To be a bit more aggressive, I can put this cushion down there and do some drills which you'll see quite a lot of, about kicking into the cushion. So really get that feeling there of kicking into the cushion. Notice it's coming from the glute, lifting the thing up, pushing down. But I'm not letting my knee bend that way to make the kick. It's all coming from the glute. So we're trying to isolate this feeling of how that kick is moving and how the kick is feeling as we go through the movement. You can do that both sides, and that's starting to get a feel for the banded kick, and that's getting that length in the stroke, the length in the leg as you kick along that one. You could do the same sort of thing on that ballet kick. Just hang a weight if you've got any ankle weights on it, and just sort of you move up and down that way, and just get a feel for it. If you haven't got an ankle like that, get a friend just to hold and pull with some light bands to get a feel for that kick. But having that position and feeling how you've got long legs will really help with the swimming action as you go. You can't do that in the water, it's really hard to do because you end up kind of panicking and pushing your head up. So by having that long leg position, you really find that the kicking action is a lot better. So a lot of these drills we're trying to do is try and get that feeling of movement. How is it happening? Is it coming from the glute? Is it coming from the knee? And hopefully that exercise just there, you've really felt that it's actually coming more from the glute, and it's a straight leg rather than the knee bend as you go along as well. So we just did a little bit of work, and if you're happy with the band on, you can leave the band on. But we had a bit of work then on pushing down into that kick. So we had the cushion there, we're kicking into the cushion. We're going to do the same thing, we're going to have a little bit of resistance. So you may have come across some inner tubes, and have the inner tubes for your bands when you go swimming. This is just actually a TheraBand, a shorter TheraBand, which you can use and tie up as well. Same sort of idea, just something to give yourself a little bit of resistance. And what we're going to work on now is the kicking action. We're going to start off first of all by kicking on the back. Remember I said that actually working on the downstroke makes you think about a better, straighter leg. It's very hard to think about kicking like that and thinking about it being effective, whereas it's easier to think about kicking because you can kick a football quite easily like that. So it's easy to kind of kick forwards when if you're thinking about kicking into something on your front. But on your back, you're trying to generate the power in there, it's going to be a lot harder to try and do. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for an alternate flutter kick. We have one leg in there. I've twisted it just to get a little bit more resistance and so it doesn't move up and down. You can twist it a few times if you so want. From that position, you can lie down. If you want to make this a little bit harder, you can go into a streamlined position, nice position like that. But I'm just going to sit here like this. I'm just going to focus on the kick down. So down there and alternate, down. As you feel comfortable with this, just lift yourself up a little bit. So now you're resting your legs up there. You're trying to make sure you get a nice little hit there. Notice pointing my toes. Really be conscious of the pointed toes. And that's your flutter kick, and you're focusing on the downstroke. So really trying to build awareness of how it feels. You're then going to flip onto your front. And this is where it's very easy, as I mentioned before, just to end up pushing down like this, which is why we've screwed your legs together. You can't really do that without feeling really weird on the way down there. So it's going to keep everything nice and tight, and also nice toes pointed as well. So again, try and get quite nice and strong and hit that toe. Notice it's not from the knees. I'm engaging my glutes. Glutes engaged, and I'm making sure it's a whole leg, so my knee's actually coming off the ground there, and I'm kicking down. So you can do that nicely again. If you want to get into a streamlined position, you get into a streamlined position, and then stop. If you've got a small pillow, like this, and you put it underneath your hips here, you can then bring everything into the position here, and again, still focus on that kick position, and you can actually have a look and see if you're bending your leg, you can feel it straight away that the band's gone up. You're then focusing on the kicking action, ideally get into a nice streamlined position, and you're really focusing on stabilising, just lifting yourself off the side over there just to make things a little bit easier to get your legs off the ground. But you're focusing on that. You might want to try and have it so that your feet are just touching your big toes on the inside, and you're keeping nice and stable. So again, nice, good, streamlined position. Looking forwards if you can into that, either into that position or in that position as if you would be swimming. And you can then start feeling the good kick position. Again, I'm more focusing on trying to get the knee kick going. I'm really focusing on trying to get the good kick mechanics of the straight leg each time. And that's the focus we're trying to have on it. With each of these exercises, I really want you to try and feel that knee kick position versus the straight leg position. If you get that feeling of knee kick to straight leg, you will start to really feel when you get it right and when you get it wrong. When you then go into the water, you can start trying to build awareness of that one. Most of the time, because we're in the water, we're focusing on what's going on here, how our hands are moving, are we taking a breath? It's very difficult to focus on the leg kick. If we're doing a kickboard session, most of the time we're sat there thinking about how much we hate kicking, how slow you're potentially going, how there's one person who's fantastic at moving through the water, and so you end up not really focusing on what you're doing. So use this session as an opportunity to really focus on how your leg actually moves when you're kicking, how your body reacts to kicking, and how you want to be kicking effectively. Because if you can do that here in the dry land, bring that as part of your warm-up and part of your cool-down, either in the dry land or beforehand, get the core nice and activated and be aware of it, you're going to find yourself being a lot more effective when it comes to swimming in the water, because you've got the kicking effectiveness, means you're going to need all those other good technical things we mentioned earlier on.